Welcome, Bobcat Nation, to another edition of our Coach's Corner. With me in this edition is Del Smith, head coach of the football team. Coach, thanks for being here.
Appreciate you having me.
And before we get going, I want to apologize to Coach Smith. We recorded one last week prior to your the season opener with Concord, and we needed to edit something together. I kind of fell through the cracks, and that didn't get published, so I apologize for that. But we've got you now, and I promise this will go out to Bobcat Nation. And of course, we actually have something to talk about now. The team's impressive 23-18 win down at Concord last Thursday night.
Sure.
I'll just let you talk about the game in general, and then we'll kind of break it down a little bit after that.
Yeah, I think as you went back and looked at the film, it was a lot of what you expect and hopefully try to avoid in the first game. We were the least penalized team, which is one of our goals. So that we ended up with under 100 yards in penalty yardage in our first game of the year, which we thought was a stat that really mattered.
Right.
The one in our WIT chart is called What It Takes to Win. That we didn't get was the turnover battle.
Right.
We got -3.
Right. We did have 5 turnovers. If there's one negative, it was turning the ball over, I think, maybe 5 times. But I know that's something you guys are working on.
That's not maybe. That
It is something you are working on, right?
Outside of that, I thought our team played extremely hard. It appeared that our off-season conditioning and our camp put us in a position to where our guys didn't seem gassed at any point in that game. We were able to run it to win it with 292 yards on the ground.
Right.
So we played some great defense early and got the critical stop that we needed in the fourth quarter.
Right.
A couple minutes left on the clock, and really was a similar scenario to the 2016 final when defense went out and they had a chance to drive it and win it. So it was glad for our guys to get that stop.
All right, we'll kind of talk about the defense you just mentioned. The run defense, you guys, I mean, there's so many things to talk about the defense, but you limited Concord to, I think, 68 yards. It was under 2 yards per carry.
Sure.
You guys were in their backfield all day. You had 11 tackles for losses, 4 sacks. Harry Lewis had 3 of those sacks. What was it about the game plan, or just the defensive line especially, that was able just to get so much pressure and stop that rush?
You know, their new offensive coordinator, Don Mahoney, who's a good friend, came from the University of Tennessee. He was with Butch Jones and their O-line coach with Butch for the last probably 12 years. So we took a little bit of a gamble and went back in and broke down 2 of Tennessee's games from last year, just with the thought process that he's been with the coach for 10 years. He's probably going to stay with what he knows, and you know, it held true. We got a lot of other things, so we were prepared. You know, when you look at it, you say we don't know what the offensive coordinator is going to run. We took a little bit of a gamble and put together a game plan based on what he'd done in the past, and so I think Coach Martin had a tight game plan for what we saw, even though we weren't quite sure what it was going to be. It held true. So our D-line was really active. I think the difference between this and last year is just the depth that we have on that line. We're able to roll some fresh legs in. Harry was certainly productive on the night. I think a guy like Cody Good commands a lot of double teams and maybe didn't end up in the stat column.
Right.
But we say so often, you might not make the tackle, but you make the play, and he certainly he did that all night.
Right. And of course, Harry was named our West Virginia Wesleyan Student Athlete of the Week. On the men's side, his interview is now up with Sid Pano from the cross country team. So if you haven't checked that out, please check out their video. Looking at the offensive side, and you know, the quarterbacks, running backs get a lot of the praise, but and the term replace is often used a lot. How are you going to replace this guy? I mean, Michael Anderson was such a big part of the offense last year, and how do you replace him? But Devin Montgomery, the transfer from Oklahoma, certainly had a huge night running the ball for 258 yards.
Sure. And
broke off a 63-yard run. I mean, if you're going to replace Michael Anderson, I think you have certainly found the person in Montgomery. And Stature also ran the ball very well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Dante had a great night as well, and I think the other thing that might go unnoticed is that we're just more dynamic personnel-wise, and where you said Mike was so much a part of the offense last year. I mean, I think at receiver with our freshman Kenny Lewis and just that whole core has the ability to make plays all over the field. But the true credit really has to go to the offensive line.
Right.
I mean,
the unsung heroes of any victory.
When you look last year, Coach Tess, we gave up the least amount of sacks in the league and blocked for the leading rusher in the league. And again, here in our opener, we gave up 0 sacks and rushed for 292. So those guys did a great job. There's 3 new faces on that line, and it's really running back by committee. We also have Jarrell English and Trey Jackson, 2 other backs that didn't get a lot of carries. That we feel like at any point in the game, we can roll fresh legs out in the backfield and not lose anything from a production standpoint.
Do you feel, though, a little bit maybe the element of surprise? I mean, people really, I mean, I know they know you had them in camp, but they didn't know what they could do with your two backs. Is that something that's lost a little bit now because of their huge performances?
Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
The cat's out. I mean,
right.
But we're still going to run the football.
Right.
And we're still going to commit to it. And, you know, hopefully when teams, you know, make adjustments and +1 in the box to make up for it,
right.
It opens things up on the perimeter.
Exactly. And special teams, Tyler Fisher had a phenomenal day for you. Sometimes, I'll just say this, at the D2 level, sometimes kicking can be a chore.
At every level.
Well, it's true at every level, but Tyler, absolutely phenomenal. 3 for 3 in his field goals, hit both of his extra points. Handled the punting duties, had a 40.5 punting average, and was named MEC Special Teams Player of the Week. And I know Vanta did a good job.
Did on his placement, for
with
sure.
Exactly, with the placement. So just talk about those two.
Yeah, I think, you know, as you look at the kicking game, especially early in the year, sometimes that can be the deciding factor.
Right.
Obviously, with the support cast around him, but Fish's leg was responsible for 11 points and a 5-point victory.
Right.
So that certainly mattered, and I think warranted Player of the Week in the league. But to hit for 3 for 3 on field goals was something that we struggled a little bit with last year. We were slightly over 50% on our average. So.
And we lost a lot of close games last year too. Not saying that's responsible, but like you said, if you can get a kicker with 11 points, that's huge.
That is huge. And that, you know, hence Player of the Week honors.
Right. This week, your home opener with West Liberty University. They beat Urbana last week. Both teams are 1-0. Both teams are looking to go 2-0, which is such a big deal in a very competitive MEC. What do you know about West Liberty that you've been able to see?
You know, the most impressive thing I think about West Liberty is when you look at their coaching staff. I mean, Roger's been there for, I think, 13 or 14 years now.
I think he's in his 13th season.
His coordinators have as well. Anytime you have that type of consistency in your staff, there's going to be a lot of familiarity with the scheme, you know, from top to bottom in your roster. So when you look at their players, they've got some new faces, but they're system guys. The system hasn't changed. They're extremely well coached. They play with a lot of discipline. They have very limited penalties. They turn the ball over. They got a couple turnovers that set up some scores. So, you know, we anticipate it being a 4-quarter football game, possibly a 1-score football game. And, you know, it's going to come down to the team, I think, that can make the biggest improvement from week 1 to week 2. And if you really think about it, teams make their biggest improvement from week 1 to week 2. So we're hoping we come up on the plus side of that one.
Right. Looking at the MEC, was there any surprises in week 1 that maybe caught you off guard, or did everything pretty much go according to plan? You thought? You
know, I think it's hard with the limited coverage that we get in the off season and with recruiting. I think once you get 3 weeks into the season, there's a little bit of separation. There's teams that are undefeated. There's teams that are in the middle, and there's teams that haven't experienced much success yet. So, you know, I think the scoring in the Shepherd Notre Dame game.
Right, that was an offensive battle.
So, I mean, to score in the 50s and 40s for those two teams who have good defenses was impressive to me. I mean, East Stroudsburg at Fairmont, that coach is the winningest active Division II coach for a reason, because he puts a great product on the field. So that didn't surprise us. So it appears that it's going to be another competitive year in the league where you have to bring your A game every week, and that's certainly our goal this week.
And we've got 90 seconds here to wrap up the interview, but what's it like to open up the home season? I know you got the butterflies and everything for the first game, but what's it like to come back in week 2, but be in front of your fans on your at your place on your field?
Well, it's great. We certainly draw well here. I thought we had a great crowd. I wanted to thank everybody for coming to Concord. We had a great crowd in Athens. We expect the same here. We've got a faculty coach, and we hope the administration is there, and certainly the student body will show out in full force. But anytime you get to be at home, you hope might be the difference. Just not having to travel and having your legs and getting a great night's sleep, and we hope that's the difference on Saturday.
All right, well, Coach, congratulations last Thursday, a fantastic win. I know it's got a lot of people excited, which is always a good thing, and good luck this week against West Liberty.
Appreciate it.
All right, Coach. Bobcat Nation, until next time, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for viewing.